Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Angela Anderson Show, where we are helping moms live their dream while taking care of their family. I am your host, Angela Anderson, and I am so excited that you are here with me today. This show started as a result of a virtual summit that I hosted last summer, 2022. It was called Get Your Life on Track, Walk in Your Purpose. And the focus was on mothers who wanted to identify their purpose and live it fully while taking care of their family. For 14 days, I interviewed top influencers and experts who shared information and great tips that assisted mothers in finding their purpose, pursuing their goals, and living their dream, all while taking care of their family. So if you notice the theme, that is what I'm all about, ladies. We can do this all while taking care of our family. So there was such a popular demand, I decided to create this talk show where I can continue to empower moms out there to see their value, understand their importance, and reclaim their identity. So today I have with me a special guest, and her name is Veronica Valli. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Veronica is changing the narrative on sobriety. Continuously sober since May 2nd, 2000, with over 20 years of experience as a recovery coach and psychotherapist, she understands that there is no one path to recovery. Author of the book Soberful, Uncover a Sustainable, Fulfilling Life Free of Alcohol, published by Sounds True, and co-host of the Soberful podcast, Veronica has helped thousands of women not only recover from alcohol, but also transform their lives. Veronica teaches that alcohol is not the problem. It's only a symptom of a deeper underlying problem. She helps women dig deep, embrace change, and become who they were meant to be. I return people to themselves, she says. I love that. Veronica works with women and men all over the world through her successful and innovative online recovery programs. She developed the Soberful program into an online subscription community, Soberful Life. Now based in the US after relocating from the UK, she is married and lives on Lake Tahoe, Nevada, with her husband and her two sons. I want you to welcome everybody, Veronica Valli.
Hi,
Hey,
Angela.
Veronica. How are you?
I'm good. It's really nice to be here.
And I'm so glad that you're here on the show. Um, First, I want you, please, to just tell us a little bit about your journey. Um, a little about your story, how you got here. When you were a little girl, did you ever dream that you would be here? Not necessarily on this show, but here doing this um, as a recovery coach, psychotherapist, and just impacting so many lives in such a powerful way.
Well, that's a really interesting question because the reason that I am doing what I'm doing is because I had a really bad alcohol and drug problem. So in my teens and 20s, my goal was, what are we doing this weekend? And do I have enough money to drink and take drugs the way that I want to? And I was, my life was a mess. It was a train wreck. I was working. I managed to get through university just about, but I was very, very, very lost, and lots of mental health issues, lots of anxiety, panic attacks. And I got to about 27 when it occurred to me that my alcohol use was the problem. At that point, I thought it was outside things. I thought it's because I don't live there. It's because I don't have this job. It's because I don't have a boyfriend, or blah, 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 blah. And really it was the alcohol and drugs. And I had this realization, and I got sober and I got help. And it was really, I feel so lucky because I did get sober fairly young in Florida. And I was really, it was life-changing for me. I mean, for a year, the first year of sobriety is very different. I went to a 12-step program. I was very kind of retreating, not going out much.
Right.
And I began to realize that it wasn't alcohol was any symptom of the problem. It was how I thought, how I felt. I felt very uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't like myself. And that requires an anesthetic. You can't
Right.
live in this world like that day after day. You have to anesthetize those feelings.
Mm.
So I began to realize that after stopping drinking, what needed to happen after that was I needed to work on myself. I needed to understand why I was the way I was. And that led me to start training as a therapist. And, it's really extraordinary because I love what I do. I've done it for over 20 years now. I was never one of these people who, like, when I grow up, I want to be this, that, and the other. I never had a clue.
Right.
I'd always kind of been fascinated with people and why we are the way we are. And, I did my training and I've always loved, I've worked in rehab. I worked as a psychotherapist in London. I work as a coach here in America, all over the world. And I'm just so hungry for that knowledge of, personal development, like why we are the way that, why do we feel the way we do? Why do we act the way we do?
Yes.
And also the absolute, complete, committed belief that people can change.
Yes.
Like this is not, I have a secondhand life. This was not my trajectory. Like I just turned 50 this year. I wouldn't have lived this long. I was doing a lot of drugs. I was putting myself in very dangerous situations. I would have just been a statistic.
Right.
I got a second chance. And, not only do I have a career that I love, with books and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, I have a wonderful husband and children and everything that I've ever dreamed of. So I've never lost sight of why I have that. That was not fluke, that I worked for that. And I feel very grateful.
That's beautiful. Like that's, it gives me chills in a way because it's an inspiring story, but it's also it's not just a story; it's your life, and it's so encouraging. One, as you said, like people can change, but you had to do the work, to do that. And something else that you said, Veronica, when you said that it's not like you had this thought in your mind, like, when I grow up, I want to be such and such, but your life experiences led you to what you are right now and what you're doing right now. And so I want to talk about that for just a second. A lot of times, we as moms, we're out there and we're um, trying to figure out, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? And yes, you had a fascination with people, and I have the same fascination, by the way, just, you know, what makes us tick and, how we,
Yeah.
operate, things like that, personal development, self-development, right? But sometimes it's our experiences that make us experts in a field, and sometimes it's our experiences that allow us to encourage other people and to bring them along. And because we've experienced it, again, yes, we're an expert at it, but then we get a chance to bring people into that, whether it's a different path or whatever, but we get to actually see them go through, knowing that we've been through it, and to overcome. So that much I loved in just what you said in the beginning there. Um, so let me ask you this question. You mentioned that um, you have your family, and these are the things obviously that we're grateful for. When you have a spouse, when you have children, and even if you don't have a spouse, we're moms and we have this gift, our children. Um, when as you are doing your recovery programs and you're helping people along, um, how do you think that helps you with your whether it's parenting skills or just imparting the knowledge and experiences to your children, if that makes sense at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think about this a lot. I've been involved in the world of addiction for over 20 years. And in truth, the roots of it are in childhood and our experiences. I mean, you can see when a child has experienced trauma and they become an adult, why they would want to numb their feelings. But there's other reasons as well. And when I became a parent, I was really, I've been very aware of wanting to equip them to navigate this world in which alcohol and drugs are prolific.
Right.
And for me, it's about emotional literacy. And we're both mums of boys of similar ages, and males have feelings too.
They certainly do.
Right. And they have big feelings. But I think we live in a culture that tries to shut down male feelings.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, I mean, a lot of it is role modeling. A lot of it is role modeling that I don't, if I've had a bad day or if I'm upset or angry, I don't reach for a glass of wine.
Right.
It's about apologizing to my kids if I yell at them. Yes. It's about how, like, really giving them space and helping them name their feelings. My eldest, this was a while ago. We were arguing about something I wanted him to do, and I can't remember quite what it was. And I was insistent that he wanted to do it. And I said something, and he said, Mummy, that hurt my feelings when you said that. And I went, oh, because I never would have been able to say that to my parents when I was
Veronica. Right? Yes. My husband and I talk about that all the time. We can never say that to our parents.
Right. And I was like, so like, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have said it like that. So I was able to role model. I made a mistake. I'm going to apologize. But I was so happy that he could have a boundary and say, you hurt my feelings when you said that. I was just like, oh my gosh. So it's, I try and do a lot of that with my kids. Yeah. And also the other thing is, and we were talking about this before, is I think this is vital as a parent, is letting our children struggle and letting them struggle well. When we moved to Lake Tahoe, it was a very last minute thing. Long story. Anyway, with the school opening times, my husband and my eldest son flew out to Reno on the Sunday, got to Reno at midnight, stayed in a hotel, and my son had to start school the next morning, not knowing anywhere, not knowing anyone. Yeah. My husband had started a job. Like I don't even know where they were sleeping that night. Right. And I was having all this like, I need to be there. I need to be there. And so he must have been 8.5, something like that. Right. And I was like, you know what? His dad is 5 minutes down the road. He's in school. It's a safe environment. Right. This will be a challenge that he needs to have. Yes. And of course, it went really well. He met his best friend on the first day and it was fine. But it was that kind of knowing when to let go. And it's, honestly, that was a small, in the scheme of things, it wasn't a big thing. But it's like learning when to step back and let them struggle. Yes. I think from my background in addiction, I think that is the biggest thing I'm seeing over and over is parents stealing opportunities from their children to struggle. And I see that a lot. I was at an indoor soccer game with my youngest son and it ended. And one little boy was having a meltdown and the mum was like, oh, he just wants to score a goal. She went to the closet and dragged out the goalposts and got the ball and said, he just wants to score a goal and they'll be fine. Because he hadn't scored a goal. And then, he scored a goal and then he was fine. And I was like, yeah. I think the thing to do there is actually coach them through disappointment. Yes. Because sometimes life's disappointing. Right. And there's not going to be someone who's going to go and make it right for you. And I don't want to judge that mum because I'm not saying that I get it right all the time. I don't. I know that we never do. We're always going back, oh, I wish I'd done that differently. Right. But I'm really trying to see you know what? I need to stand back here. Yep. Or this is going to be disappointing or frustrating or upsetting or sad for them. And I need for them to have that experience and for them to know they can survive their feelings and how they can learn to emotionally regulate. As a therapist, that's what I'm focused on. That is just deep right there, right? Because
As moms, we want to make everything okay. You know,
Oh.
we want to make it comfortable. Um,
Mm.
we just it because it's almost, if I can even say these words, it's almost selfish because we hurt when they hurt and we don't want to hurt.
Yeah, it's exactly, Angela, it's exactly that. We can't bear our own distress.
Right. And it's like I don't want to see them get upset, and I know they're and so I'm just gonna let me just make this easy. Let's just do it like this. And I'm guilty of that, a couple times. I have to catch myself just like you, step back and be like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Even at a very young age, my youngest is 5 right now, but even at like age 2 and 3, when they're frustrated with when he just learned how to tie his shoe. Oh my goodness, Veronica. Right? And and he's just, going on, and I kind of want to help him, and I'm like, you know what? He's got to learn how to do this. Or if he can't, and again, these are just the small things, but what I'm trying to say is that it starts at an early age. And for the moms out there with adult children, I've had conversations with them where they have said the hardest thing is watching my child, who's an adult, struggle, and
Yeah.
seeing them make mistakes, get into situations, and I'm not there to bail them out, because you want to come in and swoop in,
Yeah.
right? Um,
And
when,
it's such a natural instinct.
yep.
I feel like as a mother is that my kids are always ahead of me before I realize, right?
Mm,
So it's like that I'm tying their shoe and thinking, actually they can do this. Because you're so used to, like,
do
from
it,
babies doing it.
right?
And then you're like, hold on, why am I doing this? They can do
Right,
this. And
right,
I've caught myself many times doing things and being
right,
like, no, they need to be able to do this.
right. Because it's detrimental. It is detrimental
Yes. Yeah.
because think about, we're raising, in our case, boys to be
Mm-hmm.
men,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if they can't do for themselves, like if they don't have the life skills, then, you know, one day their wives are going to be cursing us under their breath.
So I believe, so again, as a therapist, you hear that parents say this a lot, like, I just want my children to be happy. I just want my children to be happy.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you the secret to your child's happiness. The secret to your child's happiness is that you raise a child who's able to establish a long-term connection with their partner.
Mm,
And that means with boys, they need to do laundry
yes.
and they need to know how to clean.
And clean.
And they need they need to be able to deal with conflict, and they need to be able to talk about their feelings, and etc., etc. Again, I see that over and over in my practice, and I feel that the most important thing for my child's happiness is that they can have a long-term relationship with someone, and that starts with what we do here.
Exactly.
I've there's someone I know very well who's married to someone whose mum did everything for him,
And it
and
shows.
it shows, and it's that marriage is not in a good place,
Right. It's detrimental,
because
right?
women are not going to stand for that.
No, mm-mm. We're not your mom. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So yeah, it's such an important thing to recognize early on.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's later, it's not too late. If you have teenagers, you have them do their chores, have them do the things that they need to be self-sufficient, independent. And that's the hardest thing. It's a friend of mine said to me, and I'll try to remember the quote, but raising kids, you have to teach them not to need you anymore.
Yes.
You have to teach.
Yes.
And isn't that like, but I want them to need me, but
Mm,
but
yeah, you have
but
to. Yeah, you have to let them go. Yeah, that's exactly it. And again, I'm married to someone who works in higher education, and he will tell you multiple times he has been, and he works in universities
Mhm.
where the mom is there on the phone or in the office complaining about something or advocating, and he says that's not the shocking part. The shocking part is the kid's not even embarrassed,
Wow.
because the mom's always, and it's often the mom
Yeah.
has been doing that their whole lives, intervening,
Right.
trying to make things better, and they
Right.
just passively let their mom argue about the grade or the dormitory or the thing they didn't get paid for or whatever.
Right. and it's like learned behavior. Yeah, that, wow, it's a ripple effect. It takes root, and it has, as you said, just a really not so good impact on the
Yeah.
future, and the family itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Veronica, as a mom and as um, you know, an author, and by the way, I love your posts on Instagram,
Oh,
and
thanks.
just the message that you're putting out. Even when you don't even have to be marketing your book, but just some of the messages that you have out there, they're life lessons that I
Mm.
love to learn from, that I sit there and think about. And you're not afraid to call things out. It's like wrong is wrong, you know, and not that it's being judgmental or anything like that, but just um, again, it's encouraging for
I have some thoughts on, sorry to interrupt you, on that
no,
word judgmental, because I was, this is another therapist I was listening to who I really like. And she was saying, like, there's almost like this kind of, oh no, but I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge. And that we actually should be a bit more judicial about things. And in that, actually, that's not okay.
yeah, calling it out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, and again, that's part of like, oh, I don't want to make any waves, or
Yeah.
oh, you
Yeah.
know, I just want to be agreeable.
Yeah.
But
Which is very female, isn't it? Wanting to be
right,
agreeable and nice and be liked. Yeah.
right, right. And there's a lot to be said about that. But what can we say to moms who are, on this journey, and they're pursuing their dream, and what are some of the greatest challenges that you have faced in carrying out your role as a mom and being the successful entrepreneur that you are?
It's interesting. It's really because becoming a mom is what made me an entrepreneur. When I married my husband and came to America, my career fell off the cliff. It
Hmm.
just and I had a really good career. I was a psychotherapist. I was on TV and radio in the UK. I had celebrity clients,
Yes.
and I just say that not to impress you, but like I that's where I had a flourishing career as a psychotherapist. And in America, that just went off a cliff.
Right.
I had to redo my qualifications, all that kind of stuff. I had a
Hmm.
baby. I was quite like, what, I was in my late 30s. What am I going to do? Like, I want to work. And it was my husband who said, you should write a book. You should write a book. You write a book. All the stuff you say, you should write a book. And I wrote a book, and we self-published it. And then I had to be online to market it. And I say this to my clients all the time. I didn't know I was going to be here. I
Hmm.
just did this, and then that led it to that, and that led to that, and that led. And I had another baby, and then a second baby, second book, and that led to that, and that led to that. And I was, I have to work for myself online. I have to. My husband always had a busy, demanding job. I have to work around childcare, and it just grew. So I became an entrepreneur, really,
Hmm.
because it was the only thing that fitted with having my kids. I never wanted to work full time and be 40 hours. I mean, God bless, I know a lot of mums have to do that and
Right.
want to do that, and that's fine. That
Right.
wasn't going to be right for me and my family. I
Right.
think part of that, honestly, is I had my first child at 38 and my second at 42, and I felt like I've done everything. I've been to all the places. I've been to all the shows. I just want to be home with my kids. I felt very lucky that I've been able to have kids. And I really did want to be home as much as possible with them.
Yeah.
Now, in the last 2 years, my husband has retired, and he's been a stay-at-home parent, and I've been able to work more hours and travel and all that kind of stuff. But the number one thing I love about having my own business is that I get to do what I want and work and be there and schedule things so I can be at the basketball or the show or the whatever.
Right.
So it wasn't like, I talk about this a lot. Be on the square that you're on. Nobody knows how to go from A to Z.
Mm.
We know how to go from A to C, but what's beyond that? Like, so you just have to be on the square that you're on, and then that led to that, and then this arose, and then that idea came, and then this happened, and here we are.
Yes, exactly. Wow. Talk to us a little bit about your book. You said that you self-published and you have a book, and we talked about it during your bio, Soberful. Tell us about that.
So my first two books I self-published about giving up alcohol. And then I got a book deal right in COVID for my third book, Soberful. And what I wanted to do, there's a genre called Quit Lit, which is, there's just lots of books about giving up alcohol. Mm-hmm. And what I felt was missing was lots of people were quitting alcohol, but kind of floundering, because there's more to stopping drinking than just stopping drinking. It's like 10% stopping drinking and 90% emotional sobriety. And so my book is about that. It's the tools to be able to live in a sober world, be able to deal with your feelings, understand why you drank, all of that kind of stuff. Right. So it's, you know, I'm a therapist. It's a book written by a therapist. There's just so much more than not drinking alcohol. And it's really a personal development book. It's appropriate for anybody, not just someone with an addiction problem, because every human being has to be in the development of oneself, right? And that's really what it is.
Right. I love that that you said that, and it just made me think of so many different things. A lot of times we're struggling with, as you said, emotional, whether it's trauma, deficiencies, I don't know what to call it, you know, but we resort to unhealthy coping mechanisms, you know, and let's just say it's not alcohol. Let's just say it's not drugs. But let's just say it's something else, some other type of self-destructive, whether you want to call it behavior, addiction, character traits that we take on. And it's as a result of something greater, you know, and we're just either trying to bury it or not address it. But you mentioned it before, like just getting to the root of it. And like you said, it's not just about the alcohol. It's something else, you know, and that's where the development and the true healing, I believe.
Outside fixes to inside problems.
Right. Right. So it's like, if you want to be healed, you know, you have to get to the root. But tell us, is your book available on Amazon?
Yep, it's available everywhere books are sold. It's in bookstores, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the places. Yeah.
Awesome. And lastly, as we are wrapping up, what would you, if you were to give the moms out there just one success tip or word of encouragement today, you know, in terms of being on the journey as a mom, you know, what would it be?
I really think moms need other moms. I think that's, you know, I don't feel that our culture, and I mean American culture, European culture is a bit better, but is really conducive for families, you know, and I think it gets really lonely and exhausting. Yes. And I think the best thing we can do is make connections with other moms. Right. And there's just an immediate understanding, right? We have boys the same age. There's just a lot that you immediately understand about each other. And the mom friendships, and it's hard because there's so many challenges on our time, but really prioritizing those connections, I think that we sustain each other, and it's prioritizing as much as we can time with other moms that can sustain us.
Right. And that's so important. Community, just having those relationships. And as you said, it's kind of hard as a mom. We're busy, we're doing our thing, but we have to take that time. It's almost part of, you know, the buzzword out there, self-care, but part of that is making sure that you have that outlet and making sure that you have that community of people who understand, because we automatically understand each other because we're moms, you know,
Mm.
and we automatically have this in common, and that's what really keeps us together. You know, we have
Mm.
inside jokes that we just know because we're moms.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
there's certain things that we're just going to click. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, very great point. And you know, I want to go into this for those of you who are not aware, and I talk about moms and community um, and bonding, etc. But I have a Facebook group that came out of Get Your Life on Track, Walk in Your Purpose, which is this summit, and this actually airs in that Facebook group. And from that summit, I became a life coach for moms. And so, if you're out there and you have a dream that you have not yet worked on, but it's there and you know that you should be doing something more, you just have that feeling and you know what I'm talking about, contact me, get in touch with me, schedule a free consultation. I'm at chatwithcoachangela.com, chatwithcoachangela.com. We can chat about it and we can get you to where you need to be. And I also want to let you know that the Angela Anderson Show is on YouTube, and it is also on Facebook and Spotify. But if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. It's at the Angela Anderson Show. And once you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified once the show is about to air. And the same thing on Spotify. Once you hit the follow button, it'll also tell you once it airs. And Veronica, how can we get in touch with you? You're on Instagram. I know that, right?
Yeah, I have a website, soberful.com. I'm on Instagram, Veronica J. Valli. I'm on TikTok. I have a Facebook group called Soberful. You can just Google my name and stuff should come up.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm trying to add that banner here. Um, but definitely take a look at that, and you can Google her name, and she will come up. Veronica, I just want to thank you for coming to the show. I almost wish we had so much more time because some of the points you said were just ooh so deep and just so meaningful. But thank you so much for coming to the Angela Anderson Show, and I want to thank all of you for watching. And we will see you next time.